Welcome back to Temporal Directive, the Star Trek fan podcast, rewatching the entire franchise in chronological order. I'm Gary.
And I'm Tom.
And this week, we're watching Star Trek Enterprise's 2 Days and 2 Nights. Star Trek, the ultimate franchise. These are the podcasts of the Wakefield brothers. Their 16-year mission to watch every production, to seek out life lessons and new inspirations, to boldly watch like most fans have watched before. Before we get into our chat for this week, I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge the devastating fires that are impacting California at the moment. I've seen that Denise Crosby lost her entire home, but those fires are still burning across multiple parts of Los Angeles, including between Santa Monica and Malibu on the Pacific Coast Highway, which we drove when we were over there, and it's a beautiful part of the country, and it's just ashes and ruins at the moment, and it looks awful. So just, take a moment to acknowledge that is happening, and we're thinking of those people that are impacted by those devastating fires.
It's pretty terrible stuff. Australia has pretty terrible fires as well. We feel ya.
We get it. So stay safe. How was your first week at work, Tom?
Good, actually. I actually quite enjoyed it. Rejoining the workforce after a year off. I think you meant to have a year off after you finish school, right?
Yes.
I think I'm a little late.
You had a gap year at 36.
Yeah. Don't think that's exactly how you meant to do it, but I'll take it.
Whatever works.
Yeah. No.
Better than a midlife crisis, I guess.
True. No sports cars. No, it's been quite good, actually. I've quite enjoyed it. The people are really fantastic, and the work seems quite good as well, so quite enjoy it.
Well, I head back to work on Monday after just over 3 weeks off, so
yeah.
I've had a real nice break. I haven't done much of anything.
No.
Cleaning out my spare rooms. Oh, there's so much crap that I'm throwing out. It's ridiculous.
Got no doubt.
It accumulates when you stay in the same place for a long time. It just sort of accumulates.
Yeah. Did you see how much shit I threw out after living in the last house for 15 years, 18 years?
I know. It's ridiculous, isn't it?
It's unreal what you do collect over the years and just have in storage that you don't even know about.
All right, let's get into this week's episode, shall we?
Alrighty.
This week's episode is called 2 Days and 2 Nights. Story by Rick Berman and Braden Braga. Teleplay by Chris Black. And directed by Lieutenant Commander Worf, Michael Dorn.
Ah, nice.
This is his only Enterprise directing credit, but he had previously directed 3 episodes of Deep Space Nine while he was in that cast.
Sweet.
This episode's air date was May 15th, 2002, and is the last episode before the season 1 finale. The IMDb synopsis reads: the members of the Enterprise crew are faced with various misadventures and challenges while taking a 2-day break from their duties on the planet of Risa.
Hey, they finally got
there.
There you go.
Interesting note, this episode is Emmy Award winning.
What?
For best hairstyling.
Oh my God. Fuck off.
It's a valid Emmy.
Oh, is it? Is it really? Is it really?
I'm sorry, the hair and makeup people do a fantastic job.
No, I agree that the makeup people do a fantastic job.
Hairstyling is part of that.
Yes, I would agree that the hair is part of that.
The hairstyling people deserve the opportunity to win an Emmy just as much as anyone else, Tom.
Yeah, sure. The ones that make the fancy wigs and stuff in movies and shit and make the alien hair.
You don't know
and
what
stuff.
these aliens look like.
That is true.
They might be very exceptional. I remember this one being like a bit of a fun episode. I think this one was kind of like a funny episode from memory. I don't really remember it very well, but I'm pretty sure Trip gets that Hawaiian shirt back out.
Yeah. I can imagine them doing it as a bit of a comedy sort of episode.
Yeah.
Because the last time we were on Risa would have been Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
And that was a very serious episode because they had the people who were against Risa.
It was a stupid episode.
It was so dumb. It was like, what the hell are you... What?
It was one of the worst Deep Space Nine episodes they did.
I don't like that episode at all. No. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Risa's like, stop it.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. And the only other major episode for Risa, I think, was Captain's Holiday in TNG, which was good.
Yeah, it was a good episode.
Yeah, with Vash and the Ferengi.
Exactly.
That was a good one.
Yeah, and that was sort of like we got to see a little bit of Risa, but it was more about the captain and stuff, and I liked
and
that.
Vash and the artifacts they were trying to get.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, anyway, let's go see Humans' first visit to Risa.
Yeah, fun.
And we're back from watching 2 days and 2 nights. First thoughts, Tom?
I didn't mind it. It was all right. It was a little bit of a fun episode, I think, more than anything. But it was okay. It wasn't fantastic. But no, it was an improvement over last week.
It was totally forgettable.
Yeah, I wouldn't go back and watch it.
It was... Dr. Phlox was the only highlight, really.
Yeah, he's great, isn't he? Like, he's just a really standout character.
Yeah.
It's good if they've got him on the crew.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into it. We open with a captain's log. Archer is talking about being away for a couple of days on Risa. They're finally at Risa after a couple of weeks of delay. And he's leaving with Porthos, and T'Pol is walking him to the turbo lift to head down to the shuttle bay.
And he's not happy about it again.
Yeah, he's not happy about it.
So he wasn't happy about it. Then last episode he was happy about it, and then sort of like pissed off he couldn't stop, and now he's unhappy about it.
Yep.
So what?
Yep.
And also, why is only half the crew going?
Yep. Because they drew odds, Tom.
Yeah, but like you can leave a skeleton crew. They're only going to be orbiting a planet that's friendly. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, keep going.
So they drew odds. He had just as much chance as anyone else to go on leave, and so he's off. And T'Pol says, "You need a vacation." We cut to the shuttle bay, and everyone is in there about to head down, get into the shuttle and head down to the planet. Hoshi says it's good that the captain's taking some time off. Trip and Malcolm are getting into the shuttle, and Trip tells T'Pol that he'll bring back a souvenir, which he doesn't do.
Yeah. I was really waiting for him to bring back one of the...
A Horgon.
Yeah.
Yeah. We skip the credits, and then we see the shuttle's heading down to Risa. We cut to inside the shuttle, and finally Travis has a line.
Yeah.
I haven't even seen him for a few weeks, and now he's got lines. Whoa. He talks about going rock climbing. Trip and Malcolm plan to expand their cultural horizons, but it's all innuendo for getting laid. And Hoshi says she's going to take the opportunity to ditch the universal translator and learn some new languages and meet some different cultures and stuff like that. They ask the captain what he's planning on doing, and he says he's basically going to sit in a villa and read books overlooking the ocean for a couple of days, walk on the beach, and that's about it.
Yeah. And that dog finally gets out off the ship for a little while.
Yay.
Poor little Porthos.
We cut to sickbay. Dr. Phlox is about to go into hibernation, and he's taking the opportunity to take 2 days of hibernation rather than his usual 6-day hibernation. Crewman Cutler injects him with his sleeping medicine, and she's going to be taking over. She's going to be taking...
Temporary medic.
Yeah, she's the doctor on call. But he does say, you can wake me if there's an emergency, but only in a actual emergency.
Yeah. Which is fair enough.
Fair enough. We cut to Archer arriving at his villa with Porthos. Looks nice.
Yeah.
He looks up the stairs. He doesn't go up the stairs because they didn't build that set.
He would totally fall off the platform.
There's a note from T'Pol that says, to help you relax. And it's a copy of the teachings of Surak. Which you do see him reading later. So, you know, interesting.
Can we get a copy of that?
I don't know, maybe. Check Booktopia.
Yeah.
He looks out on the balcony to check out the beach view, which is a beautiful beach view. Looks like a very nice place. I'm waiting for the White Lotus Starfleet edition.
Nice.
I wonder if there'll be a White Lotus riser. But we can hear another dog barking from one of the other villas, and he looks over the balcony and sees this little dog yapping, and a woman comes out and grabs it and looks up at him, and they make eye contact.
Yeah.
Riveting stuff here.
Yeah. It was, yeah.
Then we cut to a bar. Malcolm and Trip are being toxic masculinity models, and they're talking about how, I don't know, they're just objectifying the people. They're making comments of women's appearances, whether they have how many eyes they have.
Yeah, that's right. What about
whether
what
it's
about
the right
them?
pronoun or not? And
Or what about her? And then he
I
goes,
don't think that's the right pronoun.
Yeah, I don't think that's the right pronoun. And then,
but she's gorgeous. It's worth the risk. Maybe I
Yeah.
should have brought my scanner.
that's it. Should have brought my scanner. And then the eyes. Yeah, I wouldn't know which eyes to look into. It was very. Yeah.
And then now that's a she.
Yeah, with the waitress.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Toxic masculinity.
You need a button for that.
I do. It seems to come up more and more often. I need that. I don't know if you ever heard that song from. It was the South Park guys and their movie Orgasmo,
Yeah.
and they had a song on there called "Now You're a Man."
You are now a man, you're a man. Now you're a man.
Anyway, shocking. Terrible scene, but anyway, they get a drink, they cheers to their vacation, and then we cut to Archer and Porthos sitting on their balcony. Archer goes inside to get a drink, and then you hear the other dog start yapping again, and Porthos and the other dog are staring at each other on the balcony. The other dog's there somehow, and they're staring at each other, sort of like growling and barking and just whatever. Then the doorbell rings, and he says, "Come in," but no one comes in. The dogs start growling again. The doorbell goes off again. He grabs Porthos and then goes to the door, and it's the woman from the balcony.
Now,
I think my dog's on your balcony.
how did the damn dog get on the balcony?
I'm assuming she put it there.
Yeah, but how? Like, he was up a level.
Maybe she has a
couple of
transporter.
levels. Like, oh, well, okay.
You know, transporters exist.
Oh, well, they do, yeah. They don't get used often, but I suppose she
Not
is a
by the
different,
humans.
Yeah, she is a different species, so that she could have access.
Exactly. Can we talk about her spots for a second?
Yeah.
Like you said, are they trill spots when you first saw
Yeah,
them?
right?
But they look more like leopard print.
Well, it's a very soft sort of leopard print, isn't it?
Yes, but it also looked like it was on a roller. Like it was.
Yeah.
It was. It was a certain width, and
Yeah.
they sort of cut off halfway.
Yeah.
Like it was like someone had got a roller and just
Yeah.
rolled it on.
Yep.
It looked
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, it did. It didn't look good at all. It was very, yeah, you're right. It was very one thickness. There was no randomness really to it at all.
No.
And it was the one on the belly as well, on the stomach.
No, I didn't notice that one.
There was one that went straight up the center. And then there was the two on the shoulders, which didn't make much sense to me because at least the trills had the two on the shoulders that went all the way down. Like
Yeah,
the
it was.
pattern
It was
continued.
all around. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was random.
Yes.
Like, whereas this, like you're saying, was so.
It was a roller.
Yeah.
It looked like someone had got a roller paint thing and
Yeah.
a paint roller and just gone lazy. Anyway, she introduces herself, Kayla, and he says that his science officer has told him he needs to relax, and she says you should always listen to your science officer. He asks her to join him for dinner, and she says yes. Actually, no.
Yeah. Which, like.
How about tomorrow night? And he says, sure, tomorrow night sounds good. I look forward to it. What the fuck?
I don't. It's the problem with some of these old shows is they sort of do weird shit like
Just
this.
don't understand. But anyway, I mean, maybe there was a reason. Maybe in the original script there was a reason she couldn't have dinner that night,
Yeah.
and they cut that, or I don't know.
I don't know either. Like, I don't. It's not.
They don't explain it.
No. Same as
But
the
anyway,
dog.
they leave it there.
It's just on your balcony randomly.
Yep. We come back from commercial, and now we're in a restaurant. Hoshi is making conversation with a Ryzen couple at the table next to her, and she's speaking in Ryzen, in their language. And she's basically soft bragging about how she's picked it up that day.
It's an explainer brag.
Yes. But, you know, they're like, oh my God, you've only just learned it today. Oh my God, just so amazing.
Notice how they very quickly stand up and walk away.
Yeah,
it's
they're
like, oh yeah, that's great. We're really happy to see. Yeah, well, shut the fuck up. We're leaving. Bye. Have a nice night.
Bye.
Bye.
But there is some guy in the background listening into the conversation. So once they leave, he comes over to introduce himself. And his name's Ravis. You're very adept at languages.
You know, as soon as I saw him, all I could think of was the bad Romulan dude in the Picard series.
Oh.
Yeah, he just gave me that vibe, and that he sort of looked a little bit like him, not lots, but a little bit like him, and it gave me that vibe. I'm like, he's going to be a bad guy.
Well, you were wrong.
Yeah, I was.
He says, do you think you could learn my language? And she says, what planet do you come from? And he says... a little bit. She says, "That's the name of your planet."
Yeah. Say it again slower.
And he says, "Don't feel bad.
On the planet,
half
can't
the people
even
on
say
my
it."
planet can't even speak our language properly."
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? She asked him probably 3 times, almost consecutively, to repeat it so that she could get it again. And he's like, just avoids it.
Yeah, because he couldn't say it again.
Well, he could.
He probably made it up. It probably just said in the script to make up some sounds.
Yeah, say a word, say gibberish.
He's like, fuck, I don't remember what I said. I can't say it again.
Yeah, I said it so perfectly the first time. I'm going to fuck it up again.
So after they talk about their language, after they talk about his language for a second, he says, join me for dinner and I'll try to teach you some more. Then we cut to the 80s vibe bar with the Toxic Boys.
Yeah.
And they're talking about how Vulcans must lie about Ponfar because there's no way even T'Pol can wait 7 years.
Yeah.
Like, fucking hell.
Yeah.
Just asexuals have existed forever.
Yes.
Like, just... Ugh.
Yeah, don't have to tell me.
Anyway, these 2 girls arrive and introduce themselves, Dahan and Latia, and they ask the girls to join them for a drink. The 2 girls ask where they're from, and they say that they're from the planet Earth, and they say they've never heard of it. And Trip says, we're kind of new to the neighborhood. And she says, well, we'll have to make sure that this trip is very memorable for you. Flirty, flirty, flirty.
They definitely do that.
Yep. We cut to Archer on his balcony. Kayla calls to him from her balcony and says, you're up late. What are you looking at? Because he's looking through the telescope thing.
Yeah.
And he says stars.
What? I thought he was looking at the neighbours.
She says, don't you get enough of that on your starship? And he says, never. Show me what you're looking at. Come on up.
I thought we were going to have a rear window sort of situation when I first saw that on the deck.
Yeah, that would be a good episode.
Yeah, right? Wouldn't it?
So she comes up to Jonathan's room and balcony, and he shows her the sun, the Earth's sun, says that they're 90 light years away. She talks about him being an explorer, and he starts to ask her questions, and she doesn't answer anything. She deflects and just gets him to talk about himself a lot.
Yep.
But their conversation is pretty cutesy. It's kind of, she's like, oh, I get lost coming back from the foyer or whatever.
Yeah.
And so he says you just need to look for the subtle differences.
Like the numbers on the door.
You know you're getting it. So it's kind of friendly, kind of flirty. It's fine.
Yeah, it was good.
Then we cut back to the bar, and Trip and Malcolm are clearly drunk, and they're telling stories about their time on the ship. Yeah.
Getting stuck on the shuttle pod. And
Yep. And then Malcolm says how he saved the captain, and she says, I thought you were the captain. And Trip says, we rotate.
We take turns. It's his turn next week.
Yeah, makes total sense. But the girls ask if they've seen the subterranean gardens.
Yeah.
And they say, no, we haven't. Blah, blah. Oh, maybe we should show you.
Like, it's warning signs straight up, right?
Of course.
It's like instantly.
Of course. So they lead the boys down through this like stairway into a basement and then transform into alien looking dudes
Yeah.
and ask what kind of valuables they have. And they're like, there's been some sort of misunderstanding. No, give us whatever valuables you've got. Maybe we could sell their clothing.
Yeah.
And they try to leave and they get shot.
Yeah. Yep. Got stunned. Now, they kind of look like...
Fish.
Well, yeah, they did actually. I was going to say more like what was the species Picard's clone was that looked after him?
The Remans.
The Remans, that's it. They kind of looked a little bit like Remans, but a little pinker.
Okay. We come back from commercial and Paul is on the bridge and Travis hails from the surface and asks Paul to send a shuttlecraft to come and get him. He's been injured and he's at the hospital on the planet, but he just wants his own doctor. We cut to the shuttle
like a
bay.
hurt kid. I want my mummy.
Yeah, that's right. We cut to the shuttle bay and Travis has arrived and he's talking about his injury and how the rock face that he was climbing like changes shape, but so do the handholds, and that's how he broke his leg.
It's a really good place to climb, isn't it?
Ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm just holding onto this rock here for my fucking life, and the whole thing changes and I fall to my death. Great.
Yeah. Yep. Good activity. He says he doesn't feel so good and he asks where Phlox is. They tell him that he's sleeping and he's like, wake him up then. No, he's in hibernation. And he says he starts to feel queasy or something, and they ask if he was given anything for the pain, and he said a hyper spray. But crewman Cutler is there and she seems to be a bit more concerned. So let's get him to sick bay. We cut to Malcolm and Trip waking up in the basement in their underwear and their hands are tied behind their backs. There's sunlight coming in, so clearly it's the next day. Trip yells out. Malcolm says he's already been trying that, but there's no one above because the club is closed. Then they have some conversation about how they were tricked down there.
Malcolm blaming Trip.
Yeah, and then Trip being all defensive. Malcolm says if we don't make it out of here and get to the beam out location, they're going to scan for our life signs. And do you really want the captain to find us like this?
I get it, but it's not really their fault.
That's right. We cut to sickbay. Cutler is scanning Travis. He's having a reaction to the pain meds he received on Risa. And she says, I think we should probably wake up Phlox at this point.
Probably a good plan.
Yeah.
Now, you just wouldn't let anyone near you with a hyper spray, would you, on an alien planet? You'd just be like, hey,
of course
get the fuck away from me.
Do you know anything about humans? Of course not.
Like, back the fuck up.
Yes. How about you just call my ship and get me home?
Exactly. Send down a hypo spray before you fucking come and get me. Like, bring it with you.
We cut to Hoshi and Ravis at the same restaurant they were at the night before. They've been there all night talking. She says that she finally gives up trying to learn the language, but he has managed to learn English overnight while they've been talking.
Yeah.
Then they talk about some fruit, and this is lazy. Again, lazy.
So fucking lazy.
The closest thing we have to this is a strawberry. Well, actually, it's a fucking strawberry.
Yeah, it's a straw. It is a fucking strawberry, no doubt.
And same with the kiwi fruit.
Yeah. What about this? Fucking piece of kiwi. You and me both out loud, quite loudly, went, kiwi.
Yeah.
And she's like, it tastes like a kiwi. Nah, fucking shit.
It fucking is a kiwi. Jeez, at least try to make it look different.
Yeah, I mean, even if you got a like, say, dragon fruit, like, not many people know what a dragon fruit is. So if you just cut up a piece of dragon fruit and put it on there, at least you could say tastes like kiwi. People wouldn't know what the fuck a dragon fruit is, or at least a few people.
Yep.
Like, at least that.
Or at least say the kiwi tastes like strawberries and the strawberries taste like kiwi and the gooseberry tastes like gooseberry.
I was waiting for it. The way you were saying it was perfect. Nice.
And then they kiss and he says, I was going to go out to these things today. Actually, he doesn't say. He just saes, I had some plans today. Do you want to come?
Steam.
Is that what he says?
Yeah, he said we're going to...
They
call it a steam barth.
Barth.
Would you like to come with me? Barth.
She grabs his hand and they walk out together. We cut to Archer in his villa. The doorbell rings and Kayla asks if he'd like to come for a walk on the beach with the dogs. And he says, I was just having breakfast. Join me? She says, absolutely. And she comes on in and asks what he's reading. And she picks it up and it's the book that T'Pol gave him. And he says, my science officer thinks that humans are too controlled by their emotions.
I wonder what gave her that impression.
Yes, well, I knew I liked you for a reason.
Yeah.
And then he starts to ask her some questions like, you know so much about me. I don't know anything about you. I don't even know your dog's name, what planet you're from.
Yeah.
And she says that the dog's name is Rilo.
She said she didn't want to ruin it, Gary. They were
Yes.
having such a good time.
That's right.
And then he pushes more.
And then she says that she did have a family. Parents, husband, brother were all killed by the Sulaban. And he says, the Sulaban. And she says, you know about them?
Boom, boom, boom.
Yep. So we cut to Phlox, sound asleep in his bed.
Yeah.
And Cutler and T'Pol are there. And Cutler's whispering. And T'Pol says, there's no need to whisper.
Yeah, he's in hibernation.
But she injects him with some wake-up juice. And he screams awake.
Yeah.
He says, has it been 48 hours already? And T'Pol says, no, there's a medical emergency. And he says, well, then call the doctor. Yeah. And from this point in, Phlox is just comedy.
Yeah.
Comedy gold for the rest of the episode.
Just so fucking good, isn't
He's
he?
so good. So he says, oh, that's right. I am the doctor. Who's sick? Mayweather. Who? The helmsman. I know who he is. So he gets out of bed to go to the sick bay and he falls over.
Straight away.
It's just, yeah, it's good. It's good.
He's perfect. He does it so well.
We come back from commercial and Travis is on the bio bed in the sick bay. T'Pol and Cutler and Phlox are there. And Phlox walks over to him and says, what seems to be the problem, Captain? Just real smooth delivery.
Perfect.
And then he says to T'Pol, can you pass me that scanner, Captain? They hand him the scanner. He can't use it. They have to help him. He says that he needs Regulan bloodworms for cleansing. Mm-hmm. And no, we need fresh ones. And goes over to the comm panel and orders the bridge to set course for Regular. And then T'Pol says, I think maybe this was a bad idea. Let's go back to your quarters. And he says, I think we need to keep our relationship professional. Funny stuff.
Something you'd see in the animated series, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, you kind of expect it on Lower Decks.
Yeah.
Then we cut back to Archer in his villa with Kyla still. They've been for their walk on the beach and she's hurt her ankle and it's evening time now. And he says, I got this bottle of wine. It was a gift. Why don't we try it out? And she says it's too sweet for her. And then she starts talking about the Sulaban. She says you couldn't see them. And she starts asking Archer a bunch of questions. And he says, we've seen the Sulaban a couple of times. She says, well, how do you fight them? I heard that they take their orders from the future, that all these genetic enhancements are coming from the future. And he says, well, hopefully we'll just never run into them again.
Yeah.
But it's pretty clear that she's
Probing
for Sulaban information. She asks where their helixes are, where do they live, like all that sort of stuff.
Pretty much as soon as she mentions the future, his face sort of changes to that.
Like, how did you know about that?
Yeah, that's something you shouldn't know.
Exactly. So he says, well, if that wine's too sweet, how about we try this other one? And he goes over to the back of the room and grabs a different drink. And while he's over there, he drops the lid into his bag and then pulls the lid up with his tricorder and sets a scanning thing going.
Yeah, nice smooth move, Captain.
Very smooth. And then he says, well, I'll tell you everything you want to know, but why don't we take a walk on the beach while we talk? But it's chilly out. Go and get a sweater. And so she says, I'll be right back. And she leaves. And then he calls T'Pol on the bridge, who says, you don't sound very relaxed, Captain.
You been reading that damn book?
He says, I'm sending you a bioscan. Run it through the computer for me quickly. She comes back and he says, I know who you are.
Your surgeons have done wonderful work.
She's a Tandaran. he asks if Grat sent her. So this is a callback to the detained episode.
Yeah.
Tendarans are the ones that were detaining the Suliban that he was also in prison with.
Yep.
And he liberated them from the Tendaran concentration camp.
Yep.
So they go back and forth a little bit. He accuses her. She tries to deny everything. And then she puts a little cut on his hand or something and injects him with something and he collapses.
Yeah, she tries to walk out and he holds her arm and she scratches him.
Yep. And he collapses on the floor. He's unconscious. Then we cut to Trip and Malcolm. They've untied themselves by smashing a bottle, it sounds like. We didn't see it, but it sounds like they smashed a bottle.
Yeah.
Malcolm got covered in this, whatever the liquid was, and they used the glass to cut through their ropes.
And they stink.
So now they're walking through the bar in their underwear that's now open. There's people everywhere.
Yep.
And they're walking through to the front door in their underwear. We cut to Hoshi waking up in bed, sunlight pouring in through the window. The camera pans and we see that Ravis is in bed with her. She leans over to give him a kiss. He says, "What do you want to do today?" And she says, "I'd love to stay here all day, but I have to go." They have a big hug and then we cut to Phlox. Back in sickbay, putting a medication together into a new hypo spray. Paul says, "Are you sure that's okay?" And he says, "Well, you can check my work, doctor." But he injects Travis and then walks off. Cutler asks if Travis is feeling better, and he says, "Yeah, I feel a lot better real quick." And then we hear Phlox snoring on the bio bed.
Straight away out of it.
Yeah, as soon as the job was done, he was back asleep. We cut to Archer unconscious. Porthos comes over and licks his face, and he wakes up. He sort of stumbles about for a second. He goes out to the balcony to look into Kayla's room, but there's nothing in there. There's no dog or anything, so she's clearly gone.
Yep.
We cut to the shuttle coming back from Risa. Trip and Malcolm have blankets over them because they're still in their underwear. Hoshi says that she learnt several new conjugations. And Trip says to the captain, maybe next time instead of just reading books, you should get out and meet some people. And then they head off to the ship, and that's the end.
Yeah.
Now that we talked through it, what did you think?
So does that mean Porthos only got one walk throughout this entire thing?
Well, yeah, probably.
Poor dog. I feel really bad for the dog.
Well,
being stuck on a ship. You can't even there's no holodeck, so you can't even put him on the holodeck for a while and you can run around a virtual paddock or something,
Nope.
At least if you were on the Enterprise, you could do that.
They are
it's funny.
Enterprise.
Sorry, Enterprise D. You could at least do that. Anyway, the episode. Yeah, it was all right. It wasn't, like I said at the start, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't fantastic. I wouldn't put it up high.
Apart from the 5 minutes of Phlox stuff.
Yeah.
It's just filler.
Yeah.
It's just really... yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know whether anything will come of... I don't know whether it was just sort of a way of reminding us that the Suliban and the time stuff exists before the next episode. I mean, I'm assuming the next episode's going to be a...
No, it is the season final, so I assume it calls back.
Exactly. So it might have just been a sort of a way of reminding us that shit exists because they don't talk about it any other time.
No,
so
that's true.
So it's sort of I remember this shit happened.
Yeah, remember?
So because the next one you're going to want to know.
Yeah. Well, so apart from that, yeah, it's not that good an episode.
No, not
really.
great.
Is there a life lesson in this episode?
I suppose sort of watch your back's probably there. Because it's sort of both of everyone except Hoshi was sort of don't trust the people that you're just on face value. Sort of know your environment, know who you're with.
I guess. I don't know. This episode's a really tough one to pull a lesson out of for me.
Yeah.
Because, I didn't get much out of this episode.
No. I don't know. You can go with just take time to actually rest and relax.
No, I don't like that.
Don't like that? Is that because you never get time to rest and relax?
Apart from the last 3 weeks. But yeah, it's not usually my go-to.
No.
Yeah.
It's not your default.
It's not my default. No. It's, maybe it is about just you need to take a break.
Actually take a break.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, IMDb rating for this week. Our examples of 1 episodes are Voyager's Threshold and Next Gen's Code of Honor. Examples of 10 episodes are Next Gen's Tapestry and Deep Space Nine's Far Beyond the Stars. With that in mind, and our previous ratings in mind, what are we going to rate this one?
What was last week's?
Last week was Desert Crossing, and we gave that a 5. I don't think this episode is any better than that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I don't think this is any.
I don't know if it's worse or not.
I don't think it's worse. It might be on par with this.
Okay.
And basically only because of Phlox. Almost.
Okay.
I wouldn't go higher than that.
Well, we gave Strange New World a 4. That was the paranoid delusion one in the caves.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'd be happy to go down to a 4.
I would go a 4.
Yeah.
This one was pretty forgettable for me.
Yeah.
I actually, really don't like this one.
Yeah. That's fair.
4 it is.
All right.
Hopefully next week's season 1 finale will be a pickup.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, next week is Shockwave Part 1. And we might do a bit of a recap over the first season of Enterprise as well, seeing as that will mean we've ticked all of the season 1 episodes off the list.
Yeah.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, we'll be back next week with that episode. But in the meantime, you can find us on Facebook at Temporal Directive Podcast and on Instagram, just Temporal Directive. Or you can email us at wakefield_productions@outlook.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this episode or anything else Trek related, really, because we love talking about Star Trek. So please join us. Until next week, live long and prosper.
Peace and long life.